In relation to career trajectory, women often make significant economic sacrifices for love, including leaving the workforce to care for children or elderly family members. First of all, I would like to thank Madam President for having me here and Oxford University. Unfortunately, I'm still waiting for my formal letter of acceptance. I am a model, actress, activist, and I am also a woman. As my partner noted, I would like to preface this debate by saying women's experiences are not homogenous, and your social background, your ethnicity, and where you're born will shape the sacrifices you make and the opportunities that you are afforded. While noticing the importance of statistics in illustrating my argument that women sacrifice too much for love, I think it would make my case even stronger if I included some of my own experiences, which I hope will resonate with some women in the room. When I was deciding on what to say in this debate, I struggled, because the term too much is not linear. As people, we evolve, and a sacrifice that you make at one point in your life, which seemed worthy, may then later appear unjustified. And by that point, career choices and personal growth may have been stunted. So for the purposes of this debate, I'm going to define too much as a sacrifice which has a negative impact on your physical and mental well-being. There are a lot of different avenues I could have taken with this debate, and it's worth noting that this is not a men versus women debate, and there are lots of different kinds of love that people can have. It can be love for your partner, love for your parents, love of your children, and so on and so forth. But what came to mind for me was my job. I'm not sure who's aware and who's not, but a few years ago, I joined the subscription platform OnlyFans. After modeling for many years, OnlyFans allowed me to reclaim my femininity and my agency. Unfortunately, this meant I had to make a lot of sacrifices. When I first started, I didn't exactly realize how much I was going to have to sacrifice for doing something that I loved. The negative impact that pursuing something that I really enjoyed had on my mental health was a sacrifice of my reputation. While I was modeling, I was seen as very reputable. I was working with brands such as Chanel and Bulgari and Tatler. But after announcing that I would be joining this website, I lost most of these opportunities. Because for the first time in my whole life, I chose to love myself. That didn't make sense. Unbeknownst to me, not only had I sacrificed work opportunities, but relationships with my family, my friends, and even romantic relationships. I had news outlets writing about how I had hit rock bottom, with countless nasty comments on it, and many more on social media also. All because I wanted to do something I loved. It even took a toll on my dating life, and with many romantic prospects not wanting to date me because I was associated with OnlyFans, or on the other side, objectifying me because in their minds I was a hypersexual person, I felt typecast. When I was 16, I began modeling, and by 18, I had moved to London and was working full-time, which meant a lot of traveling and long days on set. It was something I loved doing at the time, but at the same time, I fell in love with a man. In that year, it was probably the busiest I had ever been work-wise, and although I was enjoying myself furthering my career and making money and going to some amazing places with some amazing people, I was hindered in my pursuit because I had to make him feel secure in his career and his life. My partner at the time was not working as much and also not making as much money. He didn't love his job either, which made him feel unfulfilled. He also struggled heavily with his own mental health, and he could not understand why sometimes I could not sacrifice my work obligations. I ended up losing friends because they were not happy with the way he was treating me, and I even ended up giving up certain jobs and leaving things all early in order to maintain our relationship. Another part of me just didn't want to make him feel bad about himself because I knew how unfulfilled he was in his own life. At the time, this was a sacrifice I was willing to make. But after finding out he was unfaithful and ending the relationship, I felt that I had given up too much. My mental health was at an all-time low after all I had sacrificed for so much of myself and my own mental health for him. Even giving up certain morals I would never have done had I not been in love. Although these decisions were made from choice, I had been extremely emotionally manipulated and was too young and inexperienced to realize. This is not an experience unique to me. We live in a society where women are constantly expected to give up so much for love. Time and energy is something women often invest into maintaining relationships, whether it be through emotional support, household chores, or caregiving responsibilities. This can result in less time and energy available for personal pursuits or self-care. This leads me to my next point, that women may be forced to sacrifice their own health to prioritize the well-being of their partners or children. One of the biggest things we sacrifice is our body. Being pregnant is not always a choice, and sadly, many complications can occur, especially in countries in the global south, which may not have as developed healthcare. Studies from the United Nations have shown that 1 woman dies every 2 minutes from pregnancy. Furthermore, many women feel immense pressure to conform for the role of being a mother, and it is often seen as the most natural thing a woman can do. However, the dangers on the body and mental health are endless. Examples such as high blood pressure, ectopic pregnancies, miscarriages, depression, and anxiety. Maternal Mental Health Alliance published a study in October 2023, with suicide continuing to be the leading cause of direct maternal death between 6 weeks and 12 months after birth, accounting for a staggering 39% of deaths in this period. There are many variables in this point. For example, women with bipolar have a 25% chance of relapse during their first pregnancy, 50% after their second, and 75% with their third. This is something many women will put themselves through for the love of their child. My next point is emotional labor. Women should a disproportionate amount of Sorry, that doesn't make any sense. I'm just reading it back. Women share a disproportionate amount of emotional labor in relationships, including managing household responsibilities, meditating conflicts, and providing emotional support. It is worth noting that sacrifice are not always a choice, but a necessity. Sometimes women even have to sacrifice too much because men do not sacrifice enough. It is no coincidence that 90% of single-parent households are headed by the women. In some cultures, there are even stronger expectations regarding the role of women within the family. They are expected to prioritize familial commitments over personal aspirations. In relation to career trajectory, women often make significant economic sacrifices for love, including leaving the workforce to care for children or elderly family members. According to a study by the National Women's Law Centre, women are more likely than men to take time off from work to care for family members, resulting in lower lifetime earnings and reduced retirement savings. Earlier on, I noted the difficulties in defining too much, because at one point in your life, a decision based on love may seem justified. However, you may end up deeming the sacrifice as too much. A recent study conducted by Stanford University stated that 70% of divorces are initiated by women. One of the leading causes of divorce is women feeling a lack of equality in the relationship due to the sacrifices that they made earlier on in the relationship. When I was researching this debate, I tried to speak to as many women as possible so I could gather their opinions and best shape my argument. Obviously, I picked up the phone to my mother to ask about her experiences. She told me that she gave up her job when she was pregnant with me, and when I asked her why, she told me that it was because my father at the time was making more money than her, so it just made sense. When I asked her about this decision she made, she told me in her later life she regretted this choice, and it ended up feeling like she hadn't fulfilled her full potential, which I fear is far too common and an internal debate that a lot of women struggle with. I'm actually just going to head to the end. Okay, so let us strive for relationships where love enhances, not diminishes, our lives. It's time to redefine love as a partnership of equals where both partners can thrive without sacrificing their individuality. Thank you very much.